Good evening and welcome to the July 6, 2023 Parks and Recreation Commission regular video meeting. I'm Peter Struck, Park and Rec's Vice Chair. Chair McCarthy is unavailable tonight. Tonight's Park and Recreation Commission meeting is using video conferencing technology provided by Zoom. The Zoom video of this meeting is being recorded and will broadcast live via Zoom, and it will be uploaded to the city's YouTube channel later this evening. City staff and guests are participating in tonight's meeting remotely. Other public audience members are listening to the meeting by telephone or via the internet. Additionally, the city has opened up the community center to provide public space for viewing and participating in the meeting. Welcome to all, and thank you for joining us tonight. Commissioners, please turn on your microphones. Will the city staff please call the roll?
Thank you, Vice Chair. Vice Chair Struck.
Here.
Commissioner Cohen.
Here.
Commissioner Burstein.
Here.
Commissioner Hay.
Here.
Commissioner Westberg.
Here.
Commissioner Markson.
Here.
Chair McCarthy. Thank you, Vice Chair Struck.
Thank you. City staff, is there anyone who has signed up for appearances that wishes to address the commission tonight?
No, there is not. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to the first item on the agenda, which is the department report and update. And I'd like to welcome Recreation Manager Ryan Daly.
Good evening, Parks and Recreation Commission. Great to see you. I will bring up the report here. Please let me know when you see it.
Looks good.
All right, off and rolling. I want to highlight this. We do have a board and commission recruitment that's open. There is one vacancy on the Arts Council. That recruitment will be open through August 25th. If you're interested, or if you know of somebody who may be interested, please submit an application. It's super helpful for us to fill out that board. The city council will fill that appointment at the September 5th meeting. And for more information, the link below can guide you there. City Hall closure. I'm not going to read all of this, but as most of you know, there was asbestos found specifically within the HVAC system, which was above background levels. The City Hall has been closed, gosh, it's been since April. So we've been kind of shifting staff around to different facilities. Municipal Court is now conducting court proceedings at various Kirkland facilities, and other staff have been moved around to a number of other city buildings, specifically the community center and the Luther Burbank building. Last week, we spent a significant amount of time moving the police department down here to Luther Burbank. So if you're wondering why there's police cars parked in the grass here next to the building, that's why. It's actually been really great having them in the building, especially with 4th of July. They gave us that extra little patrol here in the park. So we're working very closely with them. We also have a number of other city departments that utilize sort of drop-in space, drop-in office space here at Luther Burbank and also at the community center. And as I'll remind everybody, the recreation division specifically supports emergency management very, very significantly in operations and logistics. And so I actually fill that role with finding space for meetings and different staff that need that office space to conduct their business. So we do have a number of staff that are on island, on site, rotating through. Sometimes you hear that city staff are just working from home. That's not really true. We are on island and rotating through different offices and providing that flexibility and customer service to the community that we need to. On July 18th, the city manager will be providing an update to the community and the city council regarding the City Hall closure. At this time, we are anticipating City Hall to remain closed beyond this summer. Hey, now for some happy news. It's July, which means it's Parks and Recreation Month. As you all know, maybe better than most, Parks and Recreation plays a major role in the sense of community and enhancing Mercer Island residents' lives. And we have 475 acres of parkland, more than 30 miles of trails, diverse programming, events, facility access, and an awesome community center. So we're doing it right. Last night, the City Council unanimously proclaimed July as Parks and Recreation Month on Mercer Island, and I encourage all of you to join all of us in celebrating Parks and Recreation Month by taking part in various fitness activities, summer camps, mostly music, Shakespeare in the Park, and of course, coming up very, very shortly, summer celebration. We have a USA Pickleball Ambassador of the Month. Many of you may know Jessica Prince, Island resident. She has been named that. Jessica has been instrumental in further developing the pickleball community here on Mercer Island, and also its relationship with the Parks and Recreation Department. I think, we talk a lot about partners, and Jessica has been a great partner in her ability to assist in mobilizing the community and specifically maybe streamlining some of the processes of engagement with the pickleball community. So her volunteer efforts have been outstanding with assisting in adding the temporary lines at Luther Burbank during the pandemic, and also providing really valuable input toward the new court design that the commission will be discussing tonight. Congratulations to Jessica, and sincerely thank you for all of her hard work, her communication, and enhancing these different opportunities for the Islanders. And this is a national recognition, actually. So very, very unique opportunity and outstanding contribution by Jessica. Mercer Island Farmers Market. This is a repeat slide I will show every month as the farmers market's available. We're seeing good crowds out there. There's live music, fresh produce, hot and prepared food, and also crafts. And that takes place on Southeast 32nd Street, just north of Mercerdale Park. And we'll go through the month of September. I do want to highlight that July 16th, the day after summer celebration, the farmers market will be occurring on that day as well. I know pre-pandemic, when we were doing a 2-day event, it wasn't, but it will be happening on July 16th of this year. Summer camps. Oh man, the community center is getting busy. We have a number of camps held at the community center as well as across the park system. This year, the city has partnered with 15 different organizations to bring those camps to Mercer Island residents. Last week, we kicked it off with the J Camp and Chess Wizards, taking part in a variety of opportunities at the community center. Thank you to both of those groups. I just want to give them a bit of a shout out. As I mentioned, we were shuffling the police department around during this period, and that can be challenging when you're trying to run a summer camp as well as police operations out of the same building. But the flexibility on both sides has just been amazing. Within our park areas, we do have Pedalheads biking, which is taking place here at Luther Burbank, tennis at Homestead, along with golf, pickleball, and frisbee in various other park locations. So we are off to a great start and things are getting busy. My Ball Junior Art Show, again, going to the community center, being hosted at the gallery there at the community center. Each year, Mercer Island's youth, kindergarten through 12th grade, are invited to submit artwork to My Ball for display. And there's a friendly judging panel as well. It is amazing. If you have the opportunity to pop into the community center, please do. It is just outstanding artwork that's on display. There will be an artist reception this Saturday from 12 to 2 p.m. Where we encourage community members, family, and friends to come in and check out the gallery and the display. So more information is located at the link below. All right, more artwork. Luther Burbank Public Art Project. Just a reminder, we have public engagement for the Mercer Island medallions. That's currently underway. Artist Marcia Rollinger is seeking community input to develop unique icons and designs for 12 bronze pieces that'll be placed down at the Luther Burbank waterfront, right outside of, or right on the plaza area there. Community members can provide that input in person over 3 different summer events online and through the Let's Talk tool. So if you click on that link below, those opportunities will pop up. The next one is actually occurring at Summer Celebration. Mostly Music in the Park starts next week as well. Next week is seeming very busy to me right now, with Mostly Music kicking off. Those take place at Mercerdale, 6:30 p.m. beginning July 13th and running through August 17th. And we have some great sponsors with For Culture, the Mercer Island Community Fund, Island Treats, Classic Pianos, and of course, MyBall, who are supporting it this season. We also have craft projects that take place at these events, and it's really a great opportunity to get the family out and enjoy our park spaces as well as some great music. Library hours are extending on July 16th, as noted there below. I believe this was mentioned during the presentation the library provided earlier this year, but I don't know that the specifics were included. So the new updated hours are highlighted there. The changes are noted in red. And for more information, please visit their website located below. All right, Summer Celebration. It's about a week away. We're feeling very prepared and excited as your recreation division. Actually, we really are. This is the most fun day we ever work on the city of Mercer Island, or at the city of Mercer Island. So looking forward to that. We're excited to bring back the community parade. That's a new addition this year that was part of previous summer celebrations, as well as live music, community booths, art vendors, kids activities, and more food trucks than last year. That was maybe the one thing we heard was the need for more food opportunities. And so we are delivering with those. And then of course the fireworks show here at Luther Burbank. A huge thank you to Mercer Island Martial Arts, Mercer Island Community Fund, the Mercer Apartment Homes, Bell Harbor, and Jake Jacobson for their sponsorships. And I heard today actually that we have 2 more sponsors, though I'm not sure who they are yet, but we have 2 additional sponsors coming forward. So sincere thank you to them for their contributions. This event wouldn't happen at the level it happens at without their support. And we already covered that one. And so with that, I thank you, and I will stop sharing.
Thank you, Ryan. A lot going on, to say the least. Thank you. The next item of regular business is to review and consider approving the minutes from our last meeting on June 1st, 2023. Commissioners, may I have a motion to approve the minutes of the June 1st, 2023 meeting?
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Hay. Is there a second?
Second. I'll second that.
Thank you, Commissioner Cohen. So there's a motion and a second. Commissioners, does anyone have any questions or comments before we vote on the minutes? All right. Again, commissioners, please turn on your microphones. Will the city staff please conduct a roll call vote?
Thank you, Mayor, Vice Chair Struck. Commissioner Markson,
Aye.
Commissioner Burstein,
Aye.
Vice Chair Struck,
Aye.
Commissioner Hay,
Aye.
Commissioner Westberg,
Aye.
Chair McCarthy, Commissioner Cohen.
Aye.
Thank you, Vice Chair Struck.
So the motion passes and the minutes are approved. The third item on the agenda is chair and vice chair elections for the coming year. So tonight, the Parks and Recreation Committee will appoint a new chair and vice chair by utilizing the following process to elect new officers as stated in the bylaws. First, we'll place a motion to elect chair and vice chair on the agenda. That's already been done. Take nominations for the position of chair from the floor. Nominations do not require a second vote. If no further nominations, the chair declares nominations closed. Voting takes place in the order nominations are made. If there is only one nomination, board members will vote on that nomination by a voice vote. If there is more than one nomination, each will be voted on separately by a roll call vote of the members present. Once a nominee receives a simple majority vote the nominee is declared elected to the position. If none of the nominees receive a majority vote, the nominations are requested again, and the process is repeated until a candidate receives a majority vote. This process will then be repeated for the vice chair position. I will now open the floor for nominations for the position of chair. Please raise your hand if you'd like to make a nomination for chair. Commissioner Westberg.
I would like to nominate Vice Chair Peter Struck for the position of Chair of the Parks and Recreation Commission.
Okay. Seeing no other hands, staff, please conduct a roll call vote for the nominee.
Commissioner Markson,
Aye.
Commissioner Burstein,
Aye.
Commissioner Hay,
Aye.
Commissioner Westberg,
Aye.
Commissioner McCarthy, Commissioner Cohen,
Aye.
Vice Chair Struck.
Aye. Okay, well, congratulations, I guess, to myself, but thank you all for your support, and I look forward to leading the group over the coming year. Again, thank you. So now we will open the floor for nomination for the position of vice chair. Once again, commissioners, please raise your hand if you'd like to make a nomination for vice chair. Commissioner Hay.
I would like to nominate Paul Burstein for the position of vice chair.
Thank you. Seeing no other hands raised, staff, please conduct a roll call vote for the nominee.
Thank you, Vice Chair Struck. Or is that Chair Struck? Vice Chair Struck? Commissioner Cohen,
Aye.
Commissioner Burstein,
Aye.
Commissioner Hay,
Aye.
Commissioner Westberg,
Aye.
Commissioner Markson,
Aye.
Chair McCarthy, and Vice Chair Struck.
Aye. Okay, congratulations, Paul. Look forward to working with you in the coming year.
Thank you. Looking
So the
forward to
new
it.
officers will now assume their respective roles. All right. Moving on, the fourth item is the Luther Burbank Park Sport Courts renovation and court configuration. For this, we welcome CIP Project Manager Sarah Lewis to discuss that.
Good evening.
Thank you, Chair Struck. Congratulations, and Vice Chair Burstein. I'm going to jump in here real quick while Sarah's bringing up her presentation. I just want to give a quick update on the why is this coming back to you. As you'll recall, at the March meeting, the commission approved the recommendation to amend the project scope to convert a third Luther Burbank tennis court to pickleball use. Following that direction, the staff team met with the city manager and discussed the need to bring this back to city council given the change in the scope for the project, which was approved through the biannual budget process. At the time of the previous meeting, we didn't have a recommended court layout. And so this is sort of the opportunity for us to kind of kill two birds with one stone, so to speak, by bringing forward the court layout as well as the change to the pickleball primary usage. We do anticipate these courts to remain multi-use, not that they'll be lined for multi-use, but there will be the opportunity for other activities at times to take part on these courts. That's yet to be determined what those are, but our vision for all park spaces in the community is to have that flexibility when needed. So with that, I will pass it off to Sarah Bluvis, project manager, and engage the commission from there. Thank you, Sarah.
Great, thanks, Ryan. So let's hop into this. I just have a few slides. You all are cruising tonight, so hopefully I can keep the pace. Again, we're here to talk about the Luther Burbank Park Sport Courts renovation. So looking at timeline, as Ryan mentioned, this project was approved as part of the 23-24 budget and capital improvement program back in December. And then we came to you all in March to seek your support and received it for striping for pickleball only instead of dual use. Again, as Ryan mentioned, the facility will still remain operational as a multi-use facility, but permanent striping will be for pickleball only, which was a slight change from the original scope that was included in the budget. Also in March, we started developing the alternatives for the pickleball court configuration with our consultant from DA Hogan. We also executed our contract with King County for the grant funding that we received for this project. So we were off to the races. And through May, we worked on those alternatives. I'll talk a little bit more about how we got to where we are tonight with the preferred pickleball court configuration in a few seconds. So in June, like I mentioned, we refined that design and now we're here. So we worked over several meetings internally and with input from the pickleball community to develop the preferred court configuration. We started with 3 design alternatives that were reviewed by staff from our capital improvement program, parks operations, and recreation teams, basically all the staff teams that will be involved with building or constructing the renovated facility as well as managing it in the long term. From that meeting, we refined the designs into 4 alternatives. Those were the 4 preliminary concepts that were included in your packet as Exhibit 2. And those were shared with pickleball players in early June for their input. We distributed them via our pickleball community liaisons, including your own Paul Burstein, as well as Jessica Prince, who was mentioned earlier tonight for her position in the regional and national pickleball community. Paul, in particular, distributed the information, the designs through Dink on Mercer Island, which is a forum he manages for our Mercer Island community of pickleball players. And we received more than 100 comments from the pickleball community on those designs. The input included preference for an 8-court design and a north-south orientation, as well as folks' thoughts about additional amenities such as seating, shelter, lighting, and other design elements. We then met again as a staff team and with our pickleball representatives, as well as with the design consultant, to refine the design based on all the feedback that we received. And we ended up with the preferred court configuration design that was included in your packet as Exhibit 1. So let's walk through that design. First, it has an 8-court design, as you can see on your screen. And this is really ideal for the best gameplay we learned through the engagement process. Technically, 10 courts could fit in this facility, but they'd be too cramped, and it sounded to us like the preference was for more space with 8 courts. We also ended up with a north-south orientation. The north-south orientation is recommended by USA Pickleball, which is the governing body for pickleball play in the US. And it's also preferred, to avoid light in the eyes and other issues like that when you're playing. Additionally, we were able to achieve the court dimensions that are recommended by USA Pickleball. We're going off the rule book and construction guidelines from that organization. So USA Pickleball recommends at least a 30-foot wide and 60-foot long playing surface area. For new construction, they extend that to 30 feet wide and 64 feet long. So in this design, we are able to achieve the 30-foot playing area for the width, but we're only able to get to the 60-foot long playing area for each court. And that's really due to the irregular configurations of this existing facility. You can see the dimensions on here. We don't even clear a 120-foot long facility with the north-south orientation. We're just shy of that. So when we talked with the pickleball community and our design consultant about this, we really learned that the preference is primarily for more space around the sidelines as opposed to at the baseline. So we're able to make a little bit of a compromise with the baseline. Learned that, pickleball is really kind of a short game, as I would call it. A lot of the play is in sort of the volley area up close to the net as opposed to back at the baseline. So from the pickleball players, we learned that if we needed to compromise on dimensions, the baseline, shaving off a little bit of play area from there would be a good compromise. And then additionally, you'll see that there's no seating, shelter, other amenities like that proposed for the court layout. If you recall from the preliminary concepts that were included in your packet, we had a bunch of different options for temporary or in the future permanent shelter, as well as some picnic areas. And we really learned that while those amenities are very nice to have, given the desire for north-south orientation, they ended up kind of seeming to be essentially a waste of space. There's also a lot of queuing area and seating area already around the facility, including in the terraced area to the north and then the grass berm to the south. So seating on the court, shelter wasn't necessarily a high priority, although there is still space, as you can see, kind of in the middle corridor there right now for temporary tents and things like that if needed. There are also, I think, 1 or 2 benches already located on the courts around the perimeter. So there's still some opportunity for including benches, just not in kind of the center of the facility where primary play is going to be happening. So in the staff report, we also discussed a couple other design considerations that came up during the community engagement that we did with the pickleball community. The first was individual court fencing. So fences around each court helps keep the pickleball balls within the court during play. They're kind of wild play balls sometimes, so it is nice to have barriers to keep them in each game playing area. This was identified as a nice to have design feature during the preliminary engagement, but we staff are still evaluating this feature and determining where fencing will be located. So you don't see any fencing on the preferred court layout, just the striping configurations, and we'll update you all once a final decision is made on the fencing piece. And then the second topic is lighting. Lighting installation was not included in the original project scope or budget, and notably the Luther Burbank Park Master Plan does not give us any specific guidance on lighting the courts. We also know there would be operational impacts if we extended park hours with lights, and adding lighting would also require a pretty significant additional public process that is somewhat of a significant change in terms of operations at the site. So we want to make sure that we engage the community in that discussion and determination. So because of that, we are not recommending adding lighting to this project. However, we are working with our consultant to explore the feasibility of installing the electrical infrastructure that would be needed if we decided in the future to install lighting. So basically that would look like laying conduit before we lay the asphalt and putting in a couple electrical boxes. So that would set us up for the future, so we wouldn't have to tear apart the courts if and when lighting was determined an amenity that we wanted to add, but we aren't committing to lighting in the long term by any means. So our recommendation tonight is for you all to recommend to send the preferred court configuration as presented in Exhibit 1 to City Council for approval. We also launched a new Let's Talk page, and the preferred design has been posted. So if we receive additional community feedback, either from the pickleball community or general community members, we'll include that in the agenda bill sent to council. And then once approved by City Council, we'll move forward into permitting. So I will stop sharing there and open it up for questions or comments.
Commissioner Cohen, and just maybe before we start the Q&A, let's kind of keep these strictly to staff, and if you have views on things, we'll put a motion on the floor and then we'll kind of discuss it in that regard. But Commissioner Cohen.
Thank you, Don Cohen. Well, I have a question to staff, and that has to do with process. And I appreciate Ryan Daly's explanation of why this is coming back. For the future, is it likely true that if it wasn't a change in scope, that you wouldn't be coming back to the PRC? I mean, to me, when I first saw this material, when I think some of it was sent out in draft form, I thought, well, this is interesting. We're being asked to weigh in on the configuration of pickleball courts, which is the kind of thing based on our some other things we've considered that I thought we would not be asked about. And so whatever you can do either tonight or in the future to help me understand what the role is and what the role isn't, that would be helpful. Lighting, I would agree, is something that would be of some substantive significance in the future if that were done. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm happy to answer that question, Commissioner Cohen, on a very high level. This project is, as you mentioned, if it weren't for a scope change, would we be coming back? Probably not, given the conversations we've already had. Probably not. But with the change and going through City Council, we want to make sure that we're crossing all of our T's as we go forward. And this was could be interpreted as a larger scope change, as I mentioned earlier. It's still going to be a multi-use facility, which is what's laid out in the capital project scope. But as you mentioned, is this the consistent path forward? No, I think what you're going to see, and with the conversations I've been having with the city manager, are laying out a more definitive process for the Parks and Recreation Commission to know where the checkpoints are on certain projects, and for us to be upfront with what those are well ahead of time. So you can expect what that process is going to look like early on.
Peter, may I ask a follow-up question?
Sure.
The follow-up question, so it has to do with the potential for laying conduit and the electrical infrastructure for possible future use. Given what you said, I won't assume anything. At this point, if you have no idea yet what the potential cost of that might be, and you're not asking us to weigh in on that tonight, I know, but if you don't have any idea what the potential cost would be, I as a commissioner would not be in favor of putting in the infrastructure or approving that for two reasons. One, the cost is unknown to me, and second, it does go down the road toward lighting with all the significant issues. And if it's going to cost $200, maybe that's one thing. If it's going to cost $20,000, that may be something else. So that was just a comment that was relating kind of to the first question I asked.
Yeah, and I would, if I could just respond, staff isn't asking the commission tonight to weigh in on the financials or the infrastructure. We're just asking for the recommendation on the court layout.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Westberg.
Thank you. I'm sure staff is aware that the New York Times recently ran an article about pickleball that talked about the noise, complaints about the noise coming from pickleball courts that are placed in neighborhoods. Now, the courts at Luther Burbank seem to be well sheltered from any adjacent housing, but I'm just curious if staff is convinced that expanding to 8 courts in that location will not create a noise issue that we'll have to deal with down the road. And if you are so convinced, what is that based on?
I can take that one. Thanks, Commissioner Westberg. So I wouldn't say I'm convinced or not convinced either way yet about how noise impacts may increase or not increase by moving to 8 courts. I think Ryan sent out an email earlier today because I think Commissioner Cohen had also shared that article. We haven't received any complaints yet as far as we know in terms of noise impacts from the current pickleball use, although that is only 3 pickleball courts that we've been operating over the past couple of years temporarily. So I do think that our approach is going to primarily be a monitor and see approach. As you noted, the facility is actually pretty well situated for mitigating noise impacts. It's installed below grade, so that helps control noise. We have that beautiful 9-foot concrete wall on the west side of the courts, as well as the grass berm on the south end. In the future, if there are major noise issues, there are some mitigation techniques that we can deploy pretty easily without having to necessarily close down the courts for any length of time or incur major significant costs. We could put sound curtains up on any chain link fencing, which would help dampen noise, and other kind of solutions such as that. So I do think that we would like to monitor it and see how it goes. You did note that, the residential areas are pretty far away from the courts. I can't remember if it was in that New York Times article or another article I was reading this week about noise pollution from pickleball that noted really it's ideal to have pickleball courts situated at least 350 feet away from residential areas. Our courts are about 700 to 750 feet away, and so we're not necessarily concerned too much about the residential area impacts, but it is a high use park. So we do need to monitor how, other activities are impacted. It is right next to the playground, which can be a noisy area. And, I think maybe one of the only concerns is how staff working out at the Luther Burbank admin office will feel if, they'll be primarily impacted because they're very close to the location. But we are definitely monitoring that and would come back, with future suggestions and potential budget requests as well for mitigation.
Yeah, thanks very much for that reply. And just to clarify, I don't share the concern that in that location there's going to be a problem. And just to share a personal experience, I was down in the playground a few weeks ago with my granddaughter, and the pickleball courts were all 3 of them were being used. They were going strong. You couldn't hear it at the playground over the noise of the kids having fun. So it's not a concern I share, but I'm glad to know that you all were thinking about that and have strategies in case it becomes an issue.
Commissioner Haley.
Regarding the noise, I was wondering if we ever receive any complaints of from the dog park, or that people are hearing dog barking noise. And the reason I ask is because a dog barks at a decibel that's 2 to 3 times that of pickleball noise. So if we're not receiving complaints about dogs in the park, I doubt we are going to receive complaints about something that's much less. Just curious if we have that information.
I've been working in Luther Burbank for about 14 years, and I have never received that complaint, though I want to complain about it sometimes, to be honest. No, you're very correct. I mean, Luther Burbank's it's an awesome park. It has so many different amenities, literally something for everyone. And some of those are noisy and some of them aren't. And Luther Burbank is really well spread out. Another thing that kind of hit me today as we've had this awesome weather is I probably hear more noise from boats and from the giant speakers they have on boats now than anything else. I haven't received a pickleball complaint regarding noise. I haven't heard one from dogs. I've heard maybe compliments more so on the play area with the kids and how loud that gets and energetic. You have a lot of people down on the docks. So it's just a very mixed park. So it would be hard to identify It would be more the type of sound, I think, that people would be opposed to as you know, related to the decibel level.
Thanks.
Okay, seeing no other hands, I thought I'll jump in. In the staff report, you spoke about how staff reached out to the pickleball community for input on design, and you got like 100 comments, et cetera, et cetera. The question I have, and from a process, was there any effort, however minimal perhaps, that the general community could comment as well? Not that I would expect very many, but I'm just curious as whether it was strictly to specific groups or more broad-based.
For this project, we followed kind of a similar process that we've used for like ball fields and other specific types of facilities, where we started with probably the primary users. So knowing that the pickleball community would be a primary user for the striping of the pickleball courts, we started with them. The Let's Talk page now is open to receive additional comment as well as to share ongoing updates. We had a just general capital project page on the website, but I do know that sometimes it's a little bit of a gray area of which project just has a project page on the website versus Let's Talk. So we are open to receiving additional comments. We do plan on going to City Council on July 18th. So there's still a couple more weeks to receive additional comments after tonight, pending your recommendation, of course. So after tonight, I will be doing more kind of general outreach to the community to share what we've done through the process so far and get additional input.
Okay, thank you. All right, seeing no other comments for staff. Commissioners, may I have a motion to recommend the preferred configuration for the pickleball courts as part of the Luther Burbank Park Sport Courts Renovation Capital Project as reflected in Exhibit 1? Vice Chair Burstein. You're on mute, Paul.
Thought I unmuted myself. I moved to recommend the preferred configuration for the pickleball courts as reflected in Exhibit 1 as part of the Luther Burbank Sports Courts Renovation Capital Project.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Westberg?
If you're calling for a second, I second
Yes,
that.
thank you. All right. So there's been a motion made by Vice Chair Burstein and a second by Commissioner Westberg. Commissioners, do you have any final questions or comments before we vote? Okay, seeing none. Commissioners, please turn on your microphones. Will the city staff please conduct a roll call vote?
Thank you, Chair Struck. Commissioner Cohen,
Aye.
Commissioner Hay,
Aye.
Commissioner Westberg,
Aye.
Commissioner Markson,
Aye.
Commissioner McCarthy, Vice Chair Burstein,
Aye.
Chair Struck.
Aye.
Thank you, Chair Struck.
Okay,
Thanks, everyone.
the motion passes. So the fifth item of business for tonight's meeting is the 2023 planning schedule update, and we get a call on Ryan Daly.
Thank you, Chair Struck. I don't really have any big updates on the planning schedule right now, but I will note that the bylaws were planned to be on this meeting. As I mentioned to the commission via email, the city clerk is working on those currently with the city attorney as well. We're going to have a little bit more of a uniform set of bylaws across the various boards and commissions. My anticipation is that will come back to you in October. So I've placed that on the October meeting. The gift acceptance policy, you'll recall we were working on that last year, and we're moving forward. That's still with the city attorney for review. That'll likely come back for another touch by the commission in September. I will say, along with the gift acceptance policy, we're doing work behind the scenes as staff to create that gift needs inventory, which will be web-based. It's actually looking really good, and we're working on that in conjunction with the Luther Burbank project, with the updates to the waterfront with the docks. So there will be an itemized list of amenities that could be donated for that project specifically. As we recall, those are identified within the budget. So those are items that we can itemize and people can donate: benches, picnic tables, even the large steps, a lot of different items that can go through there. So expect that to come back in September. And then we do have the master planning projects that are yet to find a home on this planning schedule, but without a doubt will be. And then from an additional policy item will be a sponsorship policy. I'm anticipating that to probably come forward sometime in November, so that we can get that wrapped up going into ahead of next summer, or planning for next summer, so that we can solicit those sponsorships. Currently, the city does not have a sponsorship policy. We do have a within the city code, there's a donation item, but not sponsorship. So that'll be something we'll work on as a parks group, but also more than likely as a larger citywide organizational lift. So expect that to come forward. Otherwise, we will be wrapping up the year with pros plan goals update. So where we've been and where we've hit on those goals, as well as CIP progress, and then an additional update on the recreation policy implementation. So thinking about community center usage, differential pricing, those kinds of things. We'll provide an update to the commission on those. So if any tweaks are needed, we'll be able to take your recommendations and do so. Thank you, Chair Struck.
Thank you, Ryan. The sixth and final item of business tonight is commissioner reports and work plan updates. So commissioners, do you have anything to report? Commissioner Cohen.
Yes, Don Cohen. I think I shared a couple of these with some people on the commission or staff. I had a couple of great wildlife experiences in two different parks since we last met. One was I was walking around Luther Burbank and walked up to say hello to Raven and some other people up at the community center. And then I was making my way down from the southeast corner of the community center. I know you're not supposed to do this, but making my way through that brush that's there that takes you down to the Luther Burbank parking lot service road. And I turned around and there was a deer right there. This is about 10:30 in the morning. And I know that for some of you who deal with deer with your gardens, that you'd rather not see them sometimes, but this was pretty amazing for me. Just it was sort of like right there. It was as if it were the community center staff's private deer there, but that one was great. A couple of weeks later, I was different time. I was fishing with my grandsons down at Clark Beach, and we had our usual success or lack thereof with fish, but we saw several eagles, osprey, great blue heron, and an eagle came down and flew right over us, right over the fishing pier there, probably just 20 feet above our heads. And my grandsons, it made the day, even though we were skunked from the point of view of fish. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Commissioner Hay.
Thanks. Yeah, earlier today, just a couple hours ago, there was a park cleanup event happening at the Island Crest Park in preparation for the bike skills area. So I took my 3 kiddos over there and we cleaned up some English ivy, and it was really well organized by Jordan. I got to meet Jordan today and my kids loved it actually. So we're going to check out some of the other events happening this summer. There are 6 more park cleanup events happening this summer. And I was really surprised at how much my kids enjoyed it. I asked them to do a half hour and told them they could play at the playground after that if they did 20, 30 minutes. And my son enjoyed it so much that he didn't want to go play at the playground. He wanted to keep pulling the ivy. So, give a 7-year-old a tool and some clippers and they'll stay out there all day, I guess. So check it out. If you haven't, there's 6 other events happening this summer.
Thank you for that. Vice Chair Burstein.
Early last month, I went to the Riley Cove dedication. Learned a lot about Hugh Riley. What an amazing person, what an amazing life. And it's a beautiful spot, and there's a nice plaque talking about him and all his experiences in World War II and beyond on the island. So definitely go. It's on the north end of the island near the Roanoke. It's just a beautiful spot, and what an amazing citizen of Mercer Island.
Thank you for that. I would just add that in Ryan's department report, he mentioned that Jessica Prince was named an ambassador for USA Pickleball. Last week, I ran into Jessica, and the first thing she said is, "We got to get you down to those pickleball courts." So she is a great ambassador for the sport and for Mercer Island. So the award or recognition is well deserved. Okay, seeing no other hands, commissioners, as a reminder, there is no meeting scheduled for August. Enjoy the summer break. It looks like we're going to have a full fall, though, in terms of activities. The next regular Parks and Recreation Commission meeting is September 7th, 2023, again at 5 p.m. The time is now 5:51 p.m. and the meeting is adjourned. However, as a reminder to commissioners, please stay seated until the city staff terminated the Zoom broadcast. Good evening and stay safe and healthy. Thank you.